Tonight on the Black Channel, the problem with being the dumbest people in the room is that you can't tell the difference between being lucky and being smart. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we are the Black Media, and in our mission and pursuit of doing and being exactly who and what we are, we make it very clear here that we don't get caught up in the gamesmanship of politics. We don't say the dumb things that people usually get wrapped up in. We've been focusing on these things while other folks have been out there playing with their Nintendos. We're the people who've been on top of all the events. So while other folks just tune in during election years, or they repeat whatever MSNBC or Fox told them to say, we're the Black Media because we actually have a consistent, unified ideology, and it doesn't change. Life is very, very good when you're not subject to those kind of things. It really is. So you see, we're not part of the rabble that runs around brain dead, talking about Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals, as if there's a better side. We don't look for the lesser of the two evils. We call out evil everywhere. And we always consistently have. No matter who is in office, we are always holding them to the same standard and holding them accountable. And one of the things that we've been telling you now for over a decade, the white supremacists in the Republican Party, of course, because they are the other side of the white supremacist political establishment, they are, of course, going to take all the wrong lessons from all of this. They're going to tell themselves that everybody loves white supremacy. Why, their only issue was they didn't like left-wing white supremacy, but they really love right-wing white supremacy. That's what they love. That's what they love. That's what they tell themselves. And I told you all this before, that was what they were going to take away from it, because that's what they want to believe. Just like the Democrats want to believe that black people really, they like us ignoring their issues. We just give them some tough talk. These other folks, you have to talk to them nicely, but black folk like it when we tough talk them. That's just the kind of folks they are. They don't feel pain as much as everybody else does. So you see, you've got this abusive worldview of us from both sides. Our job is to make sure that we don't play into either. When I take a look at Democrats or Republicans, the bottom line is I'm not confused about what I'm looking at. I've never supported either one. I've never bigged up either one. And there are some folks out there who are learning a brutal lesson about this. Donald Trump did not win the presidential election of 2024. What? But he didn't. Donald Trump did not win the election. Kamala Harris and the Democrats lost the election. They lost it. Go take a look at the numbers. The numbers are down from 2020. I've been pointing this out to you. It wasn't that Donald Trump did a great job galvanizing people. It was that the support the Democrats had collapsed, which is what we've been saying was going to occur for 4 straight years, that their support was going to collapse. It wasn't like all the folk who showed up for Joe Biden showed up this time for Donald Trump. That wasn't what happened. They stayed home. Truth be told, a lot of Trump support stayed home. They stayed home. So Donald Trump didn't bring more people to the polls. He didn't galvanize the support he had in 2016. You're both two lame dogs. And the people were not really enthusiastic about either one of you. So the media has been covering the one that people were less enthusiastic about, Kamala Harris. But Donald Trump didn't win anything. Kamala Harris and the Democrats lost it. So he wins by default because the other party screwed up so badly. Now you're going to go around trying to pretend. Here's the thing. Facts are still facts and math is still math. So we don't care about the lies you tell on social media. That doesn't change the fact that we know what really happened. The Democrats have been lying now for 14 years since Barack Obama. It hasn't changed the reality of what was going to occur. Now, did it? Our job is just not to play along with you. We're going to keep very firmly focused on the mathematics of it, and the math isn't good. Donald Trump lost to a senile Joe Biden 4 years ago. He lost to him then. And if you're going to depend on, well, other folks like my opponent less than me, that's what you're depending on. Well, don't worry. We can revert back to our old ways now. Instead of you seeing that, hey, people like Kamala Harris less than you, they're taking that as, see, they love white supremacy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody said that. Yes, they do. Take a look. So the brain dead morons over there took away all the wrong lessons. Here's the issue, folks. Anybody who has children will confirm what I'm about to say to you. 4 years flies by in the blink of an eye. 4 years, and you're not going to get the 4 years because the midterm elections come up in 2 years. So you're not going to get the benefit of 4 years. We all seen this movie over and over again. 4 years flies by in the blink of an eye. Okay, let me explain to you all where this silliness is coming from here. For those of you who are not old enough to remember, or you are not dialed in enough to remember, when the Democrats won under Bill Clinton, oh boy, you thought the Reagan presidency, you had Reagan and then you had Bush, 12 years of Republicanism. Bill Clinton came and gave it the people's elbow, and next thing you know, the Republicans were a party in disarray until Newt Gingrich is able to galvanize the congressional section of it. And him and Bill Clinton, as two white men from the South, were basically working together. 2000 comes, and George W. the dummy, shows up to run for president. But he comes out of Texas, even though his family's not from Texas. And he's got a smart fellow with him who had been studying politics his entire life, Karl Rove. And Karl Rove analyzes and crunches the numbers. Okay, here's how we can get us to the White House. But then Karl Rove, after George W. Bush beat Al Gore with some help from the Supreme Court. Damn! After he beats Al Gore with a little help from his friends on the Supreme Court. By the way, don't worry, white supremacy's like, yeah, I'm white and I say so. Okay, well, all right. Math don't matter. We're white and we say so. 2 + 2 is 9, 12, 6, 5, whatever we say. All right. But Karl Rove is a smart guy. Karl Rove knows how to analyze numbers. Karl Rove knows how to set up things. And him and his buddies came up with a 3-word phrase that became the mantra of the neocons, the Republicans, the right-wingers, the white supremacists on the right. They came up with a 3-word mantra: permanent Republican majority. For those of you who are old enough to remember, after George W. Bush won, they started using that phrase, that their goal then was a permanent Republican majority. Some of you may remember them, that they started partying and bandying around and parading around that mantra, that phrase, permanent Republican majority. Now, here was the flaw in Karl Rove's thinking. The flaw in it is everybody's not white, and everyone doesn't see the political parties as jackets you put on and take off. That doesn't happen. That's the flaw in his thinking. That black folk are just going to sit up here and be like, yeah, permanent white majority. We're fine. We just want to sit back and work in the coal mine, and we want white folk to run it and to tell us how much we should get or how much we should expect, and that we should be grateful for it. See, that's the problem you have when you keep ass kissers like Condoleezza Rice around. You keep your little brown chocolate sugars, naughty brown sugar around. You keep your naughty brown sugar like Condoleezza Rice and Candace Owens. You keep them around, and they have you thinking that black folk really want some white people to lord over us. That's what we really want. We just want to be the permanent workforce, and we want to be the permanent lower class workforce, and we really want to look up to white folks, and we want them to run it. That's what they tell themselves. Now, of course, that is irrational. Of course, that's stupid beyond all belief. But that's what pleases them. They want to believe it's true because the reality is too frightening. The actual reality of what's really going to occur is too frightening. What happened 8 years later? Barack Obama goes to the White House. And all of a sudden, the permanent Republican majority exits the lexicon and is considered to be a crackhead pipe dream, which it always was. And you no longer heard that phrase anymore. Well, guess what? Donald Trump, Fox News and friends, emboldened by this, they're now coming back with the crackhead talk again. The same damn thing that was already disproven. It's not real. It's not realistic. It doesn't happen. Get off your sugar high. The country does not think white supremacy now forever. That's not what folks are on. But you want to believe it. You want to believe it because doing what actually needs to be done is too damn difficult for you. So you want to believe stupidity and nonsense. And then when the bill finally comes due and you get your heads cracked open, then you're going to be crying and moaning and talking about the country's dead, the country's dead. And that's how you end up with this picture on your screen. You know that you are a shameful, irredeemable individual or group of individuals when you keep parading around George Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny. You're sitting up here with certified killers, and you're not smart enough to understand that, by the way, that's what's condemning your ass. You're not smart enough to realize that. Because you're telling yourself you're winning the race war. We're winning the race war, dude. It looks pathetic, is what it is. All of them up there look absolutely uncomfortable in their own skin and pathetic. Let's start with J.D. Vance. You'll all remember I said from the beginning this was a stupid decision by Trump, but he chose J.D. Vance not because J.D. Vance was the biggest ass kisser. That isn't the reason that Trump chose him. There were plenty of other far more qualified ass kissers. Ain't that right, Vivek Ramaswamy? There's a bunch of other far more qualified ass kissers. Ain't that right, Marjorie Taylor Greene? Why did he choose J.D. Vance? He chose J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance ain't got no backup. J.D. Vance had no support. He doesn't have a group of people around him who got his back. So choosing him was an easy decision because Trump isn't planning on handing power over to him. I want to do an explanation of this before we go into things here tonight. Folks, Donald Trump did not choose J.D. Vance or Mike Pence because he wanted to hand a torch to anybody. Donald Trump comes from the Vince McMahon school of white supremacy and white power. Vince McMahon, according to Paul Heyman said this. You can look it up on YouTube. Jim Cornette's talked about this. That Vince McMahon told his son Shane that the only way you gonna get to take over the WWE is he picked up a pair of scissors off the table. You're gonna have to take this and stab it into my heart. Vince was an old ass man. It was far past time to go ahead and let his son succeed him, and he refused to do it. So while everybody thought that he was preparing his son and his daughter, in reality, he wasn't preparing anybody. He had no plans whatsoever of ever stepping down, and you can't retain that kind of power if you're prepping somebody else to take the torch. Folks, tell me, at what point did you see Donald Trump preparing Mike Pence to take over from him? Tell me, at what point did you see Joe Biden preparing Kamala Harris to take over from him? At what point do you see Donald Trump preparing J.D. Vance to take over from him? Show me where you see Donald Trump letting you know that J.D. Vance is the heir apparent, that he wants you to think about what will happen after he leaves the White House, since we now know for certainty that Trump cannot run a third time. What is Trump doing to build up J.D. Vance, to bolster J.D. Vance, that J.D. Vance will be the heir apparent? But you see, you can't do that, because when you make it clear that J.D. is the future, then why in the hell should we all keep our eyes on you? We should instead be rallying power and aggregating power around your successor. Anybody who's read Machiavelli's The Prince knows this. Any of you who read Machiavelli's The Prince, you already know about this. If you ever read The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, you already know the dangers of this. When you're underling, you start building them up. They now have the ability to outshine the master. Masters don't take kindly to that. So J.D. Vance, the only role he can play is ingratiating Trump. And oh yeah, by the damn way, Trump doesn't have any intentions of J.D. Vance taking over after him. What? For those of you who don't know or ain't dialed in or not paying attention, have you all seen the moves that Trump has been making with his daughter and with his son, Eric? Damn! What? Damn! For those of you who've been with your heads up, the Democrats, you know what's. For the slow bus children, for the Breakfast Club watchers whose IQs have not exited single digits, and you can't track any of this. Oh yeah, by the way, I told you about Eric long damn time ago. I told you all about Eric a long time ago. Folks talking about Barron Trump. Ain't really did nothing, but they're banning their names, by the way, for the son and the daughter. They're talking about her getting into politics in Florida now. They're talking about her taking Marco Rubio's place in Florida. And you know what? Trump has the ability to make that happen. Ron DeSantis doesn't have anything else open. So if Trump offers Ron DeSantis a position in his cabinet, which talk has already begun, if Ron DeSantis appoints his daughter in Florida, do y'all see how all the pieces can fall into place? And if the daughter gets in the position, or if Eric actually decides to run or something, everything's being set up to make sure that he keeps that in his family. For those of you who didn't know that, by the way, the chess pieces have already begun to move. No, I didn't hear anybody talking about those names before tonight. You can have a whole bunch of folk pretend. I knew that right there. Never said the names before tonight. Jason says it now. You can start hearing a whole bunch of other people start saying it now and saying that all the pieces are coming into place. Not just mentioning their names at random, but telling you, by the way, and here's how it fits. I'm not just saying Laura Trump's name. I'm saying here's how it fits. Here's how it fits. Here's how it comes together. It fits for a reason. He's setting this up for his family, not J.D. Vance's. He's setting this up for his kids, not anybody else's. He's setting this up for them, not anyone else. In case you didn't understand it. He wants this in his family. He wants it for his daughters-in-law. He wants, what's her face? Plastic Face, who used to be on Fox. He wants it for his sons and his in-laws. He's doing this. He wants it for his sons and his in-laws. I forget what was her name? Plastic Face, who used to be on Fox. She used to be married, I think, to Gavin Newsom. What's her damn name? What's Guilfoyle? Yeah, Guilfoyle. Remember her? Remember her? Yeah. Talk about strange bedfellows there. So if you're in the family, if you are a fiance, if you are tertiary, anybody who is actually in the family, connected to the family by blood, directly in the fold, those are the folks they're looking at. From the sons, the daughters-in-law, prospective daughters-in-law. Barron Trump, he is already aggregating attention around them. He's aggregating attention around them, not around J.D. Vance. A narcissist and a nepotist like Trump don't trust anybody that he doesn't control. And he doesn't, if J.D. ever actually amasses any power for himself, isn't this the same damn guy who compared Trump to Hitler and said that Trump was the worst damn thing ever? Isn't this the same guy who said that in 2016? You think Trump has forgotten about that? You think Trump has become forgiving and let that go? He's like, hell no, look here, you little slimy, weaselly little bastard. You was talking all that trash about me, but now your ass is weak and powerless and by yourself. You don't have anybody to rally around you. So I made sure you've been cut off from everybody else. And the only person can save your ass right now is me. So you're powerful enough to help me and my interests, but not powerful enough to help your damn self. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And I told you all this about Kamala Harris. Remember, I told you that Kamala Harris, Joe Biden chose her because she has no support. She got kicked out of the 2020 election. She was the first one down and out. She doesn't have anything. I told you all. That's why Biden is choosing her, because she's not a threat. She has no power base that is aggregated around her. Same thing for J.D. Vance. He has no power base around him. That's why Trump chose him. The only thing he can do is kiss Trump's backside and help Trump as Trump grooms his family, his connections, his offspring, his legacy to take over. All you outsiders are here to help his family, but you're not here to grab anything of your own. Now, that's Trump's mindset. Now, whether or not he can pull it off is a different matter. Whether or not he can pull it off is a different matter. That's a different matter. No, in the chat room, let me be clear about this. I don't want to be confusing about this. That's why I was talking about Eric and Laura. If you notice that during the election, those are the two people you've been seeing the most. You've been seeing Eric, you've been seeing his wife, Laura. That's it. So she's the daughter-in-law. She's not the daughter, she's the daughter-in-law. But I'm talking about the whole damn family, including them. Everybody who's in the family, sons, daughters, everybody else. They got something for her. Laura Trump, they've been banding her name, but she's not the only one. I don't want to be confusing about this because I'm trying to run through this as fast as I can because I want to stay on the folks on the screen. But just to touch on this really, really quickly here, and then we got to move on. Maybe I'll get to go into deep detail some other time, because this is like Game of Thrones. It's like trying to keep track of all the families and all the factions on Game of Thrones. But Eric and Laura have been the two most prominent voices that you've seen in the last year. So those are the two they've been pushing out there the most. We don't know what he's going to do with Eric precisely, but we know that Eric is running around with a bunch of military people. He's running around with a bunch of special forces people. So he's been trying to get his alpha credentials up. That's what Eric's been trying to do. He's been trying to get his alpha credentials up. In the chat room, Daniel Young, let me go ahead and start Zoom up here. I want Daniel to go ahead and give me a call on Zoom. Let's go ahead and get Daniel up here on Zoom. But they've been going around trying to get their credentials up because that's what they're telling you. Hey, you need a track record to run on. And since you don't have any political record to run on, then you better start making some relations. Start making some friends. Start making some connections. Eric Trump has been doing that. He's been running around with, the right-wing paramilitary guys, the guys on YouTube and whatnot. He's been getting mobbed up with them. He's been getting all buddy-buddy with them, the Sean Ryans and those kind of cats. He's been getting this stuff together. So when they were sniping at his dad, he was the one that all the military guys, and I played them on the program, the military guys were all saying that they respected him. So he's been making inroads and connections among military people. He wants to be not among business people, but among the military cats. So he's going at this from a different perspective. Laura Trump has been rubbing elbows with the political establishment down there in Florida. So it's very clear that those two are the 1-2 punch. Very clear they're prepping them for the 1-2 punch. And all the others, Ivanka, Barron, everybody else is being mentioned because he wants to get their name recognition up. All right, I went ahead and pinned the Zoom link at the top of the chat room there. So Daniel has got 2 minutes to go ahead and be on Zoom here so we can go ahead and chop it up. You got 2 minutes to be on Zoom, Daniel. So let's go ahead and chop it up there. Very glad you wanted to speak up. It's time for us to go ahead and speak up and speak out. But everybody in the family is now getting their name boosted and recognized because he wants to get them all together. They're acting like Barron Trump is some social media genius when he's not. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is all for the purposes of boosting his name recognition, because you can't wait till the last minute to get his name out there. You got to do it now. So they're giving them as much of a runway as they can. Eric and Laura are the two they're pushing out front. Everybody else is the B team coming up behind them. And that's what they're doing. But it's not going to beat J.D. Vance. J.D. was talking trash about their father 8 years ago. He was talking straight trash about them. Now that you are weak and powerless, J.D., they're going, you're designated crash dummy. let's be clear. Trump has not been going as hard in the paint for anti-blackness as JD has. Damn! Oh, JD is the one talking against the black farmers about what they don't need and what he would never do. He's the guy that Trump has sent out to be the damn right-wing neo-Nazi faction. He sent JD out to do that. Notice Trump didn't talk like that. He sent JD out to say that. He got JD gonna take them hits because Trump has learned his lesson. You can't condemn him for something he didn't say. You can't hold over his head something he didn't say. Oh yeah, by the way, Trump didn't touch that, and his kids and in-laws ain't coming nowhere near it. They sent JD out for that, knowing full damn well that he will never be able to stand by that. If he attempts to run for president, they're gonna hang that around his head like a cinder block. Trump knows that's what's going to occur. Same thing with Kamala Harris and the border. I told y'all about that. Joe Biden makes Kamala Harris the border czar and then immediately busts open the border and lets through millions of illegals. After he says she's in charge of the border, and then he destroys the border. And who got blamed for the border when she tried to run for president? She was set up and sabotaged from the beginning, and I told you all in 2020 that was going to happen. There it did. JD has been set up from the very beginning. The only thing he's here to do is to be the crash dummy and in 4 years get his ass out the way so Trump's family can go ahead and move on in. JD doesn't have a power base and he's not on his way to getting one. And do you know what would be the most dangerous thing for JD to do? If JD starts trying to amass power around himself, Trump might get his ass kicked out. He might be the first vice president just gets run off since Spiro Agnew? Let me go ahead and check over here on Zoom. I think this is Zoom. Somebody named Tagus. If that's not Daniel, I don't want to talk to you. So Tagus, if you're not Daniel, we're not talking to you here. Tagus, go ahead and make sure so we don't have any trolling issues. Need you to go ahead and make sure you turn the camera on for me. I'm the only person who'll see you. The rest of YouTube's not going to see you. But just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues, I need you to take care of that for me here. I can give you 5 seconds for that or permanent vacation. So Tagus, let me go ahead and get you to make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on so we don't have any trolling issues. I'll be the only one who sees you. Go ahead and put the light on for us. There we go. All right, Tagus, are you Daniel?
Hello?
Sir, are you Daniel?
No.
Okay, well, give me a holler back when you become Daniel, okay?
Okay.
I'm just waiting on Daniel right now. By the way, Daniel's got another minute or permanent vacation for Daniel. Hey, Daniel, don't be a hoe now. Just you in the chat room. Folks are really big about that until it's time for them to go ahead and stand and deliver. And then, wait a minute. Then they put on their lace thong. The fellows sit up here and shave their legs and oil up their butt cheeks and put on their G-string and start wiggling their booty meat. So when they're sitting in the chat room, all of a sudden they chatty patty, but as soon as I say, okay, pull up on Zoom for me right quick, all of a sudden they sit up here and they start looking like Diamond from Players Club. They put on their leather G-string and start jiggling that booty meat. I'm just like, well, dude, hold on a minute. When you were in the chat room, he was in the chat room. He had plenty to say. I'm like, okay, you can talk straight to the man now. Wait a minute. Let me get back from the pink store. I got to make a pit stop at the pink store right quick. They're having a sale on thongs. I do you, but I mean, you had so much to say right until I acknowledged that you were fighting to get my attention. As soon as you get my attention, wait a minute. LGBT lives matter. Okay, well, I'm not arguing with that, but can you get LGBT on ZOOM? Yeah, he needs to step up like Malik Yoba. All right, so like I say, they got the 5 for $30, so he's All right, there you go. How'd they get themselves in this mess, people? How'd they get themselves? By the way, if you all agree with what I'm saying here tonight, give me the hammer emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's 4,000 people in here live tonight. We got a lot of ground to cover, but if you all agree with what I'm saying here tonight, give me the hammer emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. Otherwise, I think folks don't like the program here tonight. I'm upsetting the Republican Trump voters. So if I'm upsetting them, let me go ahead and let them go early. We're going to come back to the Republicans here in just a moment. Since they are grossly overreaching, they are deliberately ignoring the actual math of the election and pretending that the country voted 90% for them, which absolutely did not occur. But they're off having their little fantasy. The Democrats had theirs, and the Republicans are showing that they're absolutely no smarter. Certainly not in right-wing media. But there are other folks out there who didn't get the damn memo either. Folks, it is complete bedlam over on the Democrat side. It's complete anarchy. In case you didn't know, go ahead and direct your eyeballs to the screen. In case you didn't know, after pardoning his son, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden has decided to hand out a bunch of other pardons and commutations. And remember the story about that judge in Pennsylvania who was taking all those juveniles and locking them up so him and his friends could make money off of it? Well, guess who Joe Biden decided needs to have his sentence commuted? What? Out of all the people out there, guess who Joe Biden decided needs to be let off the hook early? Guess who decided to do that? Well, I'll be damned. Old Jim Crow Joe Biden goes and grabs a judge in Pennsylvania illegally, unlawfully locking up black children, black juveniles, and that's the one that Joe Biden, on his way out the door, that's the one that Joe Biden chooses. Don't you know that Joe Biden has said, to hell with black folk, to hell with the Democrats, to hell with America? If I don't get to run it, damn all of y'all. He's just like, man, I'm just going to be as nasty as I can be. Ain't no sense in even being nice about it. So he's done grabbed one of the most undeserving individuals who's committed crimes against children, and Joe Biden says, yeah, let him out. Yeah, him. That's the one we want. Because he knows that the Democrats are going to have to carry this. He knows that the Democrats are going to have to, he wants to shackle them and put as much bad stuff around their necks as they can because, yeah, he ain't got nothing coming for him. So he's just like, man, screw it all. Screw it all. That's what's happening with Joe Biden, the guy currently in the White House. And what about their caramel-colored delight who just got her ass handed to her in the presidential election? Well, guess who else is out there? They need to stop with this. This is silly. This is stupid. There is no groundswell of support. There ain't no damn body out there trying to say, you know what, Kamala Harris would be a good governor of California. This is silly. This is dumb. I can understand why she would want to do this, and we covered this before. I can understand why she would want to do this because she needs to know, do I have a future? Baby, the answer is no. I just played for you all Democrat mega donor John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan Law Firm, and he said, that's it, she's done in politics. Y'all, let me tell you why this is stupid what you see on your screen. They still owe $20 million. Damn! She was given $1 billion, actually more than that, and can't account for like a third of it. It's like it was grossly misspent. Who's gonna pony up to give her another $50 million, $100 million? Who's going to do that? If you're one of the people who gave $20 million for her presidential campaign, are you eager to pony up another $2 or $3 million for her to run for governor after you saw what the hell she did when she ran for president? That's why this article here, it gets attention because it's so audacious and so outlandish. But in the real world, this is not really something that can happen. She had her chance to demonstrate her competence and she showed it. She ain't got none. People, it's a madhouse over there with the Democrats. There is nobody in charge. Nancy Pelosi literally just slipped and fell and broke her damn hip and had to have emergency hip surgery over there in Germany. This woman still doesn't want to leave Congress in her damn 80s. An octogenarian doesn't want to leave Congress, and she literally can't walk across the damn room in Germany without falling over and busting her damn hip. And you all know what they say about old folk once they start falling down. Not wishing nothing extremely bad on nobody, but we all know how this one goes. Okay, she's over there slipping. She's literally sitting over there, can't walk across the damn room, and it's like, send me back to Congress again. Because she's trying to stay one step ahead of an indictment for all that insider trading that her and her husband have been doing in the stock market. That's what she's trying to do. So the Democrats, it's Lord of the Flies over there with the Democrats. It's absolute anarchy. It's bedlam. Nobody is in charge. No one is in charge. No one's running anything. Joe Biden is sitting in the White House. He ain't running nothing. He can't get any laws passed. He can't do anything. The only thing he can do is let unworthy bastards out of jail. That's the only damn thing he can do. That's all he can do. And you know why this is? The reason why this is because for the last 4 years, instead of the Democrats aggregating a power base among us so that they would actually win the election, they told themselves that they were going to be slick and undermine us, and don't worry, them dumb niggas gonna show up anyway. And yeah, some did, but enough didn't. And now, just as quickly, people, they're blaming us, they're hating on us, and it's like, dude, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. They're angry. They're bitter. They're yelling at each other. They're doing crazy commutations and pardons. Nobody's in charge. No one has a hold of the message. Barack Obama is talking salty and because he can't get nothing done. This is what's happening, folks. The Democrat Party is in complete anarchy today. No one is. Hakeem Jeffries is not running it.
Nigga, please.
Technically speaking, Hakeem Jeffries is supposed to be the highest ranking Democrat, but we all know he ain't running nothing. Nancy Pelosi was running things behind the scenes. Barack Obama is running things to the extent that they can. Now those two don't have any power anymore. Nobody's running anything. No one. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has set herself up as the immigrant in Congress. She doesn't run anything. The Congressional Black Caucus is representing everybody except black folk. They don't run anything. So it's complete bedlam over there. It's not because Trump is some brilliant person. It's because his damn opposition is so, they're even more pathetic and whacked out than he is. If such a thing could be believed. How the hell do you lose to a jackass game show host like Donald Trump? You must be pretty damn bad at what you do. And they are. And they are. So, of course, over there on the white supremacist right, of course, they're telling themselves that this means all kinds of wonderful things for them that it absolutely doesn't and it absolutely can't. Of course, they're overplaying their hand. Of course, they're telling everyone the country really wants white supremacy. Of course they're going to do that, and of course it's going to fail. They're going to sit up here and do what they did the last 3 times. They're going to go, the fellas on the far right are going to go ultra right. They're going to keep acting like they got something running. They're going to keep sitting up here doing things like this mess on your damn screen. Talking about Daniel Penny's a hero. Vivek Ramaswamy, who looks like the nigga that got kicked out of the Four Tops right before they got their record deal. Damn! Y'all know how you always find a little oddball person in the singing group? You kick them out right when they're about to get their record deal. You can look at them and see, hey, from that hair, you had the little pompadour. I could see you. Yeah, you could have been in the group, couldn't you? Yeah, they kicked me out the group right before they got the record deal. They were talking to Silverstein, right? They was getting ready to sign. They called me up and told me I'm out the group. They told me go home. It's like the reverse David Ruffin. Right before we got signed, they told me go home. That's what Vivek looks like. He looks like the member of the Ink Spots got kicked out right when they was getting ready to sign their deal. Right when the man told them, okay, we got a contract for y'all. I'm no way. Hold on a minute. Before we come sign, hey, y'all, we got to go talk to Vivek. Hey, Vivek, Vivek sitting over there combing his hair. Done called his girlfriend. Yeah, baby, we about to hit it big. Our ship done come in. We were getting ready. I slicked my hair back. We were getting ready to get signed, baby. We going pie in the sky, baby. It's coming. All them 4 niggas get around us. Hey, Vivek, we gotta explain something to you. Yeah, I don't really think it's room for 5 of us. When we do our harmony, we don't really need 5-part harmony. And plus, you be hitting a bunch of flat notes. We told you about them flat notes. I can work on it. I swear. So, nah, bro. We feel like it'd be better if we just do it like this. So that's Vivek. He's the fella who was almost good enough. He was the fella who almost made it, but you can look at him and see, it's like, you're a little too awkward and oddball. Really, you ain't really got no swag to it. So yeah, you almost made it. You can see the little elements that show you. I see a little piece here and a little piece there. You almost made it. Yeah, but you couldn't get there. So of course, these Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, oddball, whack jobs on the right, they don't mind being the villain. And by the way, this picture with Daniel Penny, I'm like, okay, is Penny trying to tell us something here? Because, yeah, I mean, what is going on? Did the LGBT party get kicked off early? What? I don't know, y'all. I'm picking up vibes, though. I'm picking up a vibe. They look very, very comfortable in each other's arms, so I don't have any evidence, but they look very comfortable in each other's arms here, so you might have to excuse me for some of the vibes I'm picking up. You might want to excuse me. Can y'all imagine these two having a kid? Take a look at their hair. Oh, take a look at their hair. If they ever get that womb transplant, perfected, could you imagine these two having a kid? Some little bastard look like Bobcat Goldthwait. If you don't know who that is, look it up. Somebody said, where's Penny's other hand? Do you really want to go investigate that? So, anyway. So they got Daniel Penny Daniel Penny here in the Ink Spot. And he's talking about, like I said, he can afford to talk silly. He can afford to talk dumb. Running around calling a guy who strangled somebody and snuck up behind a mentally impaired individual. Snuck up behind him. They hate it. By the way, on Twitter, they hate it when I said that. They hate it that I keep pointing out. He snuck up behind somebody. If he was out of his mind and on drugs, how are you heroic and you have to sneak up behind them? What kind of hero waits for the guy to pass him and yell at other people? You're so heroic, you didn't stop him from passing you. You let him pass you, and then let me sneak up behind him. Who the hell, what kind of hero does that? And who the hell considers that to be heroic? Who sits there and talks? That's why they don't want to say the words. They never want to say the words about George Zimmerman. By the way, explain to us how you were a hero that night. Tell us what the heroic deed was. Well, I saw a 17-year-old kid, and I saw him walking from the store, and I got my gun. All of y'all like, well, you sound like a stalker. That doesn't sound heroic. Where's the heroic part of this? Daniel Penny, well, I knew he was on drugs and I knew he had mental issues. Did he hurt anybody? No, but he was yelling at them. Okay, did you stop him from getting at them? Oh, no, I let him walk by me. I was too scared to do anything. I let him walk right by me. Well, then what did you do? I waited until he got near other people and then I snuck up behind him. And that took real courage to let him walk by me and sneak up behind him. That's real courage. That's why these folks never go into the details. And by the way, the so-called left-wing media, they don't go into these details either. The so-called fact checkers on Trump. And yet these same people have not done what I just did with you all. Ain't no fact checking over there. Well, I've had an opportunity to think this over. And what I've decided is that, maybe we're all just seeing this a little bit wrong here. And maybe we just haven't extended to these other folk the opportunity, to be able to find common ground on this. I think that's the issue, is we haven't extended the opportunity to find common ground because, Daniel Penny is a hero. Daniel Penny's a hero because he was standing between people on the subway yelling at you and civilized society. Well, not like the good, wonderful, honorable January 6th protesters who rioted at the Capitol, right? Nothing like these fine, outstanding examples of the citizenry. Right? Because these are fine folks. Actually, no, these are the bad guys. These are the bad guys. So if Daniel Penny is a hero, then of course, so is Lieutenant Michael Byrd. Correct?
And deal with it, nigga.
So, Lieutenant Michael Byrd, who turned back the tide of white supremacists and suspected white supremacists storming the Capitol. They were under siege. This was a mob. And he was the thin blue line between democracy, between civilization, and literally the barbarians and savages at the gate. So, it wasn't shots fired, it was just one shot. It was just one shot, it was a hole in one. So, you know what? Since J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy think that Daniel Penny is a hero, I just thought that this would be an opportune moment for us to reflect on other heroes out there that for some strange reason, Vivek Ramaswamy is not celebrating real American heroes. So I decided that this would be my opportunity to try, to do the best that I can here, to celebrate and attempt to raise the profile for some of the other folks out there who are not getting their just due. And so, in the spirit of that, I would like to take this as an opportunity to salute real American heroes.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you.
I would like to take this as an opportunity here to celebrate a real American hero.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you.
Today we are going to salute you, Lieutenant Michael Byrd,
Only a
for standing the thin blue line at the Capitol when you sat there, and so when this white supremacist stood up, you put him down. It took courage. You had to make sure that when it's time to take out the trash, they brought their own bag. So fortunately, I know I speak on behalf of Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, because we know that they always support police, right?
Forever young.
So we all know that. Yes, sir, I would like to salute a real American hero.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Yes, sir. When you thought that the bad guys were going to win,
Mr. Bowling Shoe Giver,
and they turned back the tide.
Your tireless efforts keep our
That's right. I know you didn't think you brought enough bullets that day, but then you found out you just needed one.
Left shoe with right, carefully placing
Because apparently in
each
America,
pair in its own tiny
that's what qualifies as a hero.
one wrong move.
And if strangling an unarmed person to death, if strangling a mentally impaired unarmed person to death makes you a hero,
Bowling Shoe,
then certainly stopping a violent insurrectionist who's trying to crash through the windows, that doesn't make you a hero, that makes you an icon.
white and blue.
No, we couldn't go without.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
So I wanted to take this as a moment here to salute, obviously, a real American hero. Ooh, some of the white supremacists didn't like I said that. Oh, some of them in here got unhappy when I said that. Oh, they didn't like the program. When I started giving the rundown, they didn't like that. But excuse me, if Daniel Penny is a hero for sneaking up behind an unarmed, mentally impaired man who had touched no one, then Michael Byrd is not a hero. Michael Byrd is a living legend. Michael Byrd is a living icon. Because I can show you the violent extremist over here. I can show that to you. She should have complied. Insurrectionists don't do that. And so, certainly, we need to celebrate Lieutenant Michael Byrd. Correct? Certainly, we need to do that. Right? Why is it that Vivek and Tucker Carlson and the rest of them are not congratulating American law enforcement? This is the reason why the right-wing white supremacists, why ultimately you can't win either. Black folk have been talking about how bad the FBI has been since the FBI was founded. Bill O'Reilly and the rest of those folk loved the FBI right up until the FBI started investigating them. Then all of a sudden, this FBI that they've always defended needs to be completely done away with. Now, isn't that amazing? If you guys weren't so shockingly, embarrassingly hypocritical and dishonest, you might actually make some progress. If the FBI was perfectly fine and perfectly wonderful going after black identity extremists, then how is it suddenly they're bad because they're going after you? We need to support all law enforcement, except Lieutenant Michael Byrd, and except up there, Mohammed Noor, everybody except y'all. We need to support all the police officers except the black ones. Everybody's a hero unless you do harm to a white person, in which case, oh, wait a minute, that's not heroic. So you're dealing with a sick, demented, psychotic religion. And that's the reason why they're trying to hold strong on it. And this is the mistake that Trump made 4 years ago. You see, when all the noise dies down and when the smoke clears and when the dust settles back down again, these are the kind of things that go against you. Once the crisis is over, people can now go back to seeing how terrible you are. This is what Trump ran into like a bug into a windshield 4 years ago. And if it weren't for the fact that Kamala Harris was an expert at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, his ass would be sitting down there in Florida waiting for his convictions. That's what he'd be doing. So, of course, here's the other thing. Understand, when you're dealing with con men, they're always going to try to convince you to overblow things as if this is the greatest election ever. And, this is fantastic. Remember that permanent Republican majority talk, even though, dude, you only won by a couple of percentage points. You only won by a couple of percentage points. And fewer people voted this time. That's all you had. You're hanging on by a thread. You need to be making sure that the next 4 years count. And what I'm saying is you need to be making sure that the next 4 years lead to an additional 4 to 8 years. And you don't have it. You don't have it. In the chat room, the passionate ones, very glad you're speaking up there. Want you to go ahead and give us a call up on Zoom. Daniel didn't have anything to say there. We got another one. Give us a call up on Zoom. Now, don't unhide them. Just leave them in the chat room. They can stay banned in the chat room, but I'll unblock them after they call in. So the passionate one can go ahead and do that. Absolutely. They can go ahead and do that. Great idea. Great idea. Please understand something, folks. If you make a point, if you say something and you don't even have the guts to stand behind it or defend it, I'm not making you look bad or pathetic. You're making yourself look bad or pathetic, because if it's not worth defending, just remember, trying to troll just really makes you look silly. Why Kamala Harris lose? Because you're on her team. Now, I want you all to understand that the white supremacists are going to be running a victory lap. They think it's safe. And I want you all to understand on every conceivable level, as I have always told you, this is good. What? This is good. We want our white supremacists out in the open. We want our white supremacists carrying their banners openly. No more hiding in the shadows. No more sneaking behind the closet. No more code words. We want you to get emboldened. I want them to come out and pump it with their chest. I want them to sit up here and believe the wind is at their backs and that it's finally safe to be white supremacists in public again. I want it to be that way. Ain't that right, Megyn Kelly? I want you all to stop hiding. Stop pretending that you're something you're not. I want you to stop. We all know it's right beneath the surface. I want to rip it off the damn surface. I want you to come on out and say it. Just like I wanted Kamala Harris to come out and say it. I wanted her to come out and say, I ain't gonna do nothing just for black folk. I wanted her to come out. I wanted Barack Obama to come out and attack black men. People, he did so much more than we were looking for. Him and his wife coming out at us. No more code words. Nothing you can defend. I want you to say it live and in person with the spotlight on you. I want you to say it where everybody's hearing it. I want you to say it straight, no chaser, in no uncertain words, in no uncertain terms, so everyone understands what you said. And look how the election turned out. Barack Obama didn't help Kamala Harris. He damned her even more. And he took himself down with it. That's what I wanted. I've wanted this now for over a decade, and finally they went to work to do it. Hillary Clinton did it, and then Kamala Harris doubled down on it. Barack Obama spun the block, and then he came back and jumped into the damn pig pen with the rest of them. This is what I wanted. I wanted them to say what they really thought about us, how they really felt about us, to try to use all the trick bag language and to keep doubling down on it. That's what I wanted, so we could all see what you really are. And that's what I want from Donald Trump and the rest of the white supremacists. I don't want you to wait till you get in the White House and you get good and comfortable and you can actually get something done. Oh, no. I want you to go ahead and start it now. I want you to overplay your hand. I want you to overestimate your advantage. I want you to sit up here and start taking all kinds of liberties that you actually cannot afford to take because you ain't even made it to the place yet. I want you to believe that because Joe and Mika Brzezinski are desperate to hold on to a job or a position, that means the rest of us are equally as helpless and equally as unprincipled and feckless. I want you to believe that all the rest of us are like Mark Zuckerberg, that all the rest of us want to kiss your ass too. I want you to believe that. I want them to inflate your bottomless ego. I want you to believe this because you've never been ready for power. J.D. Vance isn't ready for power, and he's demonstrating with every word he speaks that he's not ready. Of all the people who need to be amassing a phalanx around themselves, he's the moron who ain't getting it. And he's never going to be able to get it because there are too many glad-handing, ass-kissing yes men around Donald Trump that if J.D. Vance breathes the wrong way, if there's even so much as a rumor that J.D. Vance is trying to accumulate power for himself and consolidate power on himself, if there's even a rumor that he's doing that, Trump is going to pounce. The second that it looks like, if he even hears a rumor that you've been doing that, he's coming. And we all know it. JD don't know it yet, but we all know it. The other thing is JD is already done in politics. People, he's vice president. He can't go back to being a senator. You're done. The only place JD Vance can do is go to the White House or go take his ass back to Ohio and go help his mama sell meth or something. I don't know. But he can't go back to the Senate. They're going to fill his Senate seat. And that's it. J.D. Vance is out of politics. Man, they maneuvered Joe ass into a helpless position so damn smooth. Trump maneuvered Joe dumb ass into position so damn smooth. You telling yourself you're going to be vice president and the party will have no choice but to support you when half the party can't stand Trump. And when he's done, they know damn well you ain't got no power. But what you will have is a bunch of white supremacist baggage. Let me tell y'all, that is the Republicans are going to learn that lesson. They're going to have somebody who's not so MAGA next time because Trump is going to overplay his hand. He's going to be too far to the right. He's going to be too right wing. He's going to say a bunch of crazy stuff he can't back up. Ain't that right, Matt Gaetz? And when Trump's little sideshow is over, everybody's going to be like, understand something. Donald Trump is always throwing his weight around and always making enemies. What's going to happen at the end of this 4 years when Donald Trump is done as a power in the Republican Party? Everybody who was riding with him, it's going to be payback time since you're not going to have Trump to help you anymore. That's what's going to happen. And everybody knows it. Marco Rubio stands a much better chance of becoming president than J.D. Vance does. J.D. Vance is going to be the guy trying to fight off all this right-wing white supremacist talk. I strongly suspect that Marco Rubio, he's going to spend his time talking trash about the Russians and the Palestinians. I predict that Marco Rubio, if he's smart, he is going to stay away from saying anything bad about us. He's going to really try to stay away from that because he understands long term that's a loser. And that he needs as much help as he can, and that he recognizes that Trump, it wasn't because black folk love Trump, it was because the Democrats have messed up so badly. And if you have somebody who isn't a right-wing idiot like DeSantis, Marco could actually thread that needle if he can get enough support behind him. If he can get enough support behind him. Now, it would take time. Who knows? Who'll see? I'll tell you who won't have that support, J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance won't have it because the country is not MAGA. You're a world-class buffoon and a moron if you think that the country is MAGA. No, it's not. The country just rejected the Democrats on a mass scale. That's all that happened. But the country is not MAGA. The country is not saying what we need are white supremacists to run things. That's not what happened. You just wish it was. They hate you, but they hated the other person more. And we sat this one out for the purposes of making sure that the Democrats understood if y'all pretending y'all are on our side, we don't want any more fakers or pretenders. We'll rather just sit back and let the chips fall where they may than to empower somebody lying to us. So the Democrats got choices to make over the course of the next 4 years. You can try more of this bait and switch garbage. You can try more of this buffer class crap. You can try more of this, well, niggas gonna vote for us no matter what. You can keep trying that. You can come back in 2028, and I predict that you will. Folks, remember what I told you? Oh, they're going to be back in 2028 doing the same damn stuff. In 2028, they're going to try to find somebody that they think is less offensive to us, and they're going to try to get them to repackage it. Hey, I love hanging out with the brothers, and, well, they're just going to try to do no harm. Well, I'm not going to talk down to black men and I'm not going to insult them. I'm just going to be really groovy with the brothers and tell them, racism is real and white supremacy is real and we need to do something about it. We told you what to do about it. Are you going to do that? Well, it's kind of hard. Okay, well, you're not telling Jews that about Israel. You're not telling LGBT that about walking to the bathroom with our daughters. You're not saying that to none of them, but for us, it's always so hard. Well, you know what? It was hard to get to the polls to vote for you in 2024. It's going to be hard as hell to get back there in 2028. Oh, I got a cramp in my leg. Don't think I can make it to the polls this time, neither. Don't think I can get there this time, neither. So we showed you in 2024, if you come with the bull crap, we will pull the trigger and we'll let you crash and burn. We will let the worst case scenario happen to you. And if you don't get some act right between here and 2028 and you come back with the trash talk, we can do this all over again. Or did you forget that we did it the first time? So that was the lesson to the Democrats. The lesson for the Republicans, like I say, they haven't learned anything. Jason, why are you bringing this up? Because we could shut the Republicans down anytime we want to. What? They don't have a stranglehold on things. They got a few states. They're not running nothing. We could shut. They lost to damn me Joe Biden 4 years ago. And they're going to lose again here in 2 years. It's not like they running anything. We can shut them down anytime we choose. If we show up at the polls, if we show up in mass, it's over. Joe Biden won because we took to the streets in 2020. He won because we took to the streets. And if we come out in numbers, in any capacity, in any avenue again, it's going to be second verse, same as the first. The Republicans go right back to the wilderness again. They're going to have a few unreformed Confederate states out there passing little wacky laws and trying to sanitize the history books. And that's going to be all they'll be. Then Fox News will turn right around and be talking about the country is gone, the country is fallen, it's all over, it's all over, dude. They're going to be right back where they were a year ago. Remember, a year ago, they were in full-blown panic. Now they're trying to act like, oh, we knew it the whole time. Bull crap, you didn't know a damn thing. You don't have a stranglehold on power. You don't even have a tight grip on it. Not even close. Not even close. J.D. Vance is, nobody's sitting around talking about what we really need is J.D. Vance. This scruffy, raggedy looking bum, and nobody's sitting around, boy, you know who really need to run president is J.D. Vance. That's who really need to run. Nobody's thinking that. I will tell you one thing that is a reason that so many Republicans supported J.D. Vance, because they know how weak he is. They know that he doesn't stand a chance in 4 years. And I'm telling y'all right now, 2028 is going to be Game of Thrones over there with the Republicans. That's why I'm reminding you, in 2028, it will be Game of Thrones with the Republicans again. Oh, it's going to be knives out. When Trump no longer has any sway, and when he screws up this term in office, because that's what he did last time. Everybody talking about, look what he did before. Yeah, he screwed up last time too. By the end of his presidency, he didn't have any popularity left. History is only going to repeat itself. Only now J.D. Vance is a part of the administration. So in 4 years, J.D. Vance will be fighting for his political life. All the bad things that Trump does, he will be held accountable, since Trump won't have to or be able to run for re-election. J.D. Vance will be held accountable for everything that goes wrong. And the Republican Party is going to be rising up and saying, we need somebody else, and they will all be on the side of whoever that person is, and there's no fear of Trump because he can't run anymore. And everybody will see it as their time to run. Also, one more thing. I want you all to understand something, and this is about human nature here. When you have an individual, let me explain something to you. There's nobody who has ever served in an army, in a gang, in an organized group of people who wants somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy around them. Nobody wants that. Everyone knows that he is a gutless, ass-kissing bootlick. Nobody wants that. Do you notice there are no Republicans talking about how great Vivek Ramaswamy is? He has no character. He has no principles. He has no scruples. Nobody wants to bet their life on such an obvious glad-handing ass-kisser. And furthermore, you know that you can't trust someone like that. What? Vivek Ramaswamy is only backing Donald Trump because he, like most political whores, he's only looking for the person he thinks is strongest, who he most thinks can win. But he doesn't have any scruples. So he thought that Trump was the one most likely to win. That's the only reason that he got behind him. As soon as the political winds change, and as soon as it looks like somebody else, because Trump can't run again, as soon as it looks like he's going to open up for somebody else, Vivek is going to jump ship. It's what he does. It's what all ass-kissing cowards do. He whores himself to whoever he thinks is strongest because he knows there is no real support for him. So J.D. Vance needs to understand that Vivek, in a heroin-induced haze, told himself that he could run for president. That lasted all of 2 weeks. So in 4 years, do you think that Vivek is just going to hand things over to J.D. Vance when he no longer has to play nice? Do you think that Elon Musk is going to work well with Vivek? two billionaires who are trying to promote their own business interests? Do you all think that any of them are going to play nice with JD Vance? Do you think that Elon Musk and JD and Vivek Ramaswamy talking about how great JD Vance is? No, they're all going to be at each other's throats. Please remember, in the U.S. Senate, they wanted, what was his name? Rick Scott. They wanted to make him the Republicans' leader in the Senate. They chose John Thune. Trump took an L right out the gate. They chose somebody from Mitch McConnell's camp. You think 4 years is going to change that? No. In 4 years, they're all going to be sick of each other, and they're all going to be fighting for power. And when there's a scramble for the ball, they're all going to be knifing each other in the back, which is what they do. It's the only thing they do. Donald Trump is here to serve his own personal interests. So is Elon Musk. Elon Musk wants to make sure that Tesla is still a viable concern because right now he wants to keep the Chinese EVs out of America. Chinese EVs have been outselling him around the world. He wants to keep the American market locked down for Tesla because without Tesla, Elon Musk doesn't have any money. Without Tesla's phony market value, Elon Musk doesn't have any money. So he needs Donald Trump to help protect his wealth. Since he doesn't have California anymore, he needs the Republicans to help protect his wealth. That's the problem. And as soon as Trump isn't around anymore, here's the other thing. It's never going to make it that far. Folks, it's never going to make it that far. Remember when Rex Tillerson from Exxon, when Trump made him part of his cabinet, that didn't last any damn time. John Bolton made him part of the cabinet. That didn't last any damn time. Nobody can get along with Trump. Trump isn't going to let anybody start aggregating power for themselves. And he's certainly not going to let anybody else call any shots, even if you're in the right. He doesn't want anybody outshining him. He doesn't want anyone to look smarter than him, and everybody's smarter than him. He doesn't want anybody to do that. So the second that you start looking like you're smarter than him or better than him, out you go. Your job is to make him look great, not to aggregate anything for yourself. So what do you think Donald Trump, a phony big businessman, and Elon Musk, an on paper but mostly legitimate big business person, even if it was just all given to him by the government, what do you think is going to happen when those two have to play nice for the next 4 damn years? Name for me one prominent business person that Donald Trump has gotten along with in the last 8 years. Name one. Name one prominent business person who has worked with Donald Trump who he's still cool with today. I can name a bunch of them that he used to be cool with that he's not anymore. Can you name one that he was friends with or cool with 4 years ago, 8 years ago that he's still cool with today? And you think that him and Elon are going to get... Wasn't he just cussing Elon out a year and a half ago? Didn't he tell Elon Musk, I don't care if you reopen my account on Twitter because Twitter is nothing, Truth Social is everything, and nobody even goes over there? Wasn't he talking about how terrible Elon Musk was just a year and a half ago? You think that this marriage of convenience is gonna last? You think that these gutless, unprincipled, unscrupulous trash bags are gonna be able to get along for any real length? Folks, they're only getting along they only pretend to get along right now because nobody's in power. Without power, you don't have any authority. As soon as Trump takes office and people start getting power and authority, that's when the real civil war is going to begin. As soon as they're actually in a position to get some power and authority, then they're going to start going at each other. Folks are going to start to call in favors. Folks are going to start trying to twist each other's arms. People are going to be calling each other out. And that's when it's all going to go south. My prediction is Trump's administration, they're going to start falling out with each other within the first 12 calendar months. Within the first 12 calendar months, they're going to start falling out with each other. And they're going to be at each other's throats, hammer and tong, by the time 2026 rolls around. When it's time for the midterm elections, it's going to be full-blown bedlam. And this was the mistake that the Democrats made in 2024. A bunch of folks serving their own personal interests. They lost the plot. They lost track of what really mattered. They started serving identity politics. See, white supremacists is an identity politic also. Fox News and friends don't want to remind you that, by the way, white supremacy is identity politics. MAGA is identity politics. Oh, they love leaving out those identities. Well, that's identity politics. Fundamentalist Christian is identity politics. Yeah, they always leave those identities out. Don't just they hate bringing up those identities. And these are the mistakes that they keep making, because your job is to stay on the agenda and the mission, not to start trying to carve out a bunch of little personal fiefdoms for yourselves. That's the mistakes the Democrats made. And what they tried to do was they tried to paper over us with all these other groups, and it blew up in their faces. They thought they had more power than they actually did. And they figured that because they were getting high on their own supply, that everybody else was just as happy to just play along and do the same. And that folks didn't really expect them to deliver anything. Please remember, they're not offering us anything. They're not offering nothing. The only thing Donald Trump can do right now, even in a superficial matter, is close up the border. Okay, that's eliminating a negative, but that's not in and of itself is not a positive. You're repeating the mistakes of the Democrats. You're just doing your right-wing white supremacist version of it. They did their left-wing white supremacist version. You're repeating their mistakes. You're overestimating your advantage. You're overplaying your hand. You're overreaching. You're telling yourselves lies and delusions, and then insisting everybody else go along with it. You are refusing to acknowledge the math of the situation. You're putting out here a bunch of obvious fraudulent con artists like Vivek Ramaswamy and telling yourself that the nation loves them. The nation kicked Kamala Harris out of the presidential election within the course of a couple of months. They kicked Vivek Ramaswamy out in the course of a couple of weeks.
And deal with it, nigga.
Vivek got kicked out in the course of a couple of weeks. He didn't make it anywhere. And now, because Trump won the election, you're telling yourself that people really want Vivek. They really want Vivek? Really? You're making the same mistakes the Democrats made. And oh yeah, I'm on deck. I'm on deck for it. We already did this from 2016 to 2020. We back one more again. We're back one more again. And I will be here to document every backstabbing. I'm going to be here to document every public execution, every private execution. I'm going to be here to, when Elon Musk and Trump inevitably fall out, because they must. When Elon Musk and Trump inevitably fall out because they must, I'm going to be there for that too. It's all very incredibly predictable. They're going to try to pretend like it ain't going to happen, but it's all very predictable. Can't get away from it. They're already repeating the Democrats' mistakes. You're posing next to Daniel Penny. Talk about refusal to read the room. Talk about out of touch. Talk about out of touch. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the link for the Zoom is now open. Those of you who've been instructed to call in, they already should have been banned, by the way, if they were instructed to call in. For everybody else there, the link is now available. You can go ahead and dial us up on that. All we ask, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on, just so we don't have any trolling issues. You'll just be talking to me, but just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. Very important there as well. I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Black Views FBA. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Mr. Fontes, thank you very much for your support as well. Erwin Davis, Mr. Richburg, also, thank you very much. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll go ahead and take some of your calls here. This is the Black Channel.
Is your child struggling in school? Wish there was a way to get them the extra help they need? Mr. B, the teacher, is available for online tutoring on both tutor.com and varsitytutors.com platforms. He can help your child in a variety of subjects and is passionate about making learning fun and effective. And for even more learning tips, check out his book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, now available on Amazon.com. For more information or to reach him directly, go to MrBTheTeacher.com today.
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra snake and hyenas that overhauls the balance of the savannah. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give reparations? Can the evil alliance be stopped? You can find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. We're going to go ahead and get everyone up here on Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and get everyone up here on Zoom. Before I do, there's something I want to go ahead. Let me get this right quick. Yeah, let me go ahead and get this right quick. I want to show y'all a little something. Every once in a while, you have some hard heads. Every once in a while, you have some hard heads who just don't get it. And they tell themselves that fat meat ain't greasy and they can ice skate uphill. They tell themselves all kinds of things. Well, I want to show you all something here. This is from the Democrats. I received this email here. When did I get this? Yeah, I've gotten it here within the last few hours. Got it here within the last few hours. I want to take a moment for you all to take a look at this. This isn't the kind of stuff that makes the news. This isn't the kind of stuff that you start seeing everywhere. Want you to take a look at this. Now, because I was signed up for the Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris campaign, they've taken my email and they've actually sent it over to the DNC. So now I'm on the DNC HQ email list. I didn't ask for it. They just sent us over there anyway. So they've added us to other email lists. And I want you to take a look at what it says on your screens. To all Democrats, us. What?
Nigga, please.
Nigga, please. Okay, y'all. Y'all know they got me messed up. To all Democrats, please don't scroll past this 1-minute read. It's Sunday, December 15th. In a few weeks, Trump will be sworn in as our next president, with a Republican Congress to do his bidding. We have to be prepared for anything coming our way, from destructive legislation and executive orders to Republican attempts to weaken our democracy. And we have to be prepared on day one. Now, here's the part I want y'all to read. Take a look at this last paragraph. Take a look at this last paragraph. But the truth is that less than 1% of people receiving these messages pitch in. What? We're counting on all Democrats who know how important this moment is to step up right now. This is the email that I received tonight during this program from DNCHQ, which is Democrats.org. This is the email that I received from Democrats.org. And this is what they are saying. After Kamala Harris blew $1 billion paying for Call Me Daddy and Oprah Winfrey and Beyonce and whoever the hell else. By the way, this is the email that they're sending out here, and they're letting you know less than 1% of the people on this email list, according to them, less than 1% are contributing any money. Do you think they're feeling the pain? Somebody in the chat room said you broke, they gave all your money to the illegals in Ukraine? Okay. Yeah, if they hadn't given a bunch of that money to the illegals in Ukraine, they might still have some. But if you all want to know what's really going on with the Dems right now, what's really going on in the Democratic Party right now, if you really want to find out what's really happening, this is what's really happening. It's bad over there, man. It's bad. This isn't me talking. This is them talking. This is them saying, hey, man, we ain't catching no traction. This is them, not me. This is them. And if I have anything to say about it there, we'll see if it continues. In any case, let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Maurice first up here on Zoom. Okay, Maurice, you're live
Yes.
on the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Calling out of St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, what's on your mind, brother?
Yes, sir. I ran into one of those copycats. I usually don't get a chance to, see those type of individuals. And I gave him the eye. I looked him square in his eyes, and he just cowered away. And that's when I realized I'm not the person that he's looking for, right? It's a weaker FBA brother or sister that they aim for. I just wanted to share something, man. I've been calculated all my life, just the way I had to live, right? Vietnam veteran father. So I've been dealing with SWSs my entire life. It's just what it is. And so I think that brothers and sisters need to be more calculated. I'll give you an example. When a sister goes into a service station and she's fumbling through her purse, and she's got a 10-year-old son or 12-year-old son sitting right there, playing guard dog. If I know that, then they also know that, right? We should only be vulnerable in our safe space. Whenever we come out here to this world, everything needs to be calculated. And you listen to someone who somebody was passing out candy, a suspected white supremacist was passing out candy bars. He let me know he was there, right? I ran up on ABs by themselves, right? I had him shook like a leaf on a tree until he got back to his pack. So you're speaking to somebody who's really in the field and can tell you a whole history of this nonsense, right? So
they're looking for soft targets. That's the only ones they go after. Children, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice. They go after little old people. They go after handicapped people. They sneak up behind people. You're not dealing. How in the hell are you a hero and you're not even an honorable person? So this is what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with civilized individuals, nor are you dealing with honorable individuals. So you make a very good point. The problem with the single mother epidemic is, as I've said now for going on 2 decades, an enemy army will pay you to go to war led by your women and your children. You don't go to war led by your women and your kids. You go to war with your soldiers and the warrior class. And furthermore, if you are led by your warriors in the warrior class, you're not going to have a bunch of wars to go into in the first place. Because people understand it's like, oh, you about that life. So that's how you can eliminate a lot of nonsense simply by making sure the warrior class is on deck. So much will not happen. But they see your women, they see your children. You're an easy damn target. They see your elderly, they see your handicapped. You're an easy target. It's very easy to talk about your damn county check and you don't need this, that, and the other till Daniel Penny walks up. George Zimmerman walks up. Kyle Rittenhouse sneaks up on you. He's not going to. George Zimmerman snuck up on a 17-year-old. People never forget. George Zimmerman snuck up on a 17-year-old. Daniel Penny snuck up on a handicapped person. This was not 2 opposing armies of stand-up individuals. This is what you're dealing with. So when we're in this society, you need to be cognizant. You need to be aware. You need to be in a constant state of readiness. Don't take anything for granted. If you're by yourself, that's when you're most vulnerable. So you need to limit that as much as you possibly can because you are behind enemy lines. You are not in a society that protects you. You are behind enemy lines. And the point that you're making is folks need to act that way. Because if you act like you're behind enemy lines, you don't start taking it for granted that the society is going to protect you, that you have rights that will be observed. You don't have any rights behind enemy lines. I'll let you have the last word.
Yes, sir. I have a better example of a calculation that I keep in my mind or that I've already had calculated. If 3 of them tried me today, I'll be fine. I'll be fine with 3, right? That'd be enough time and space that I need to back them down. You have to have these calculations in your mind. Only be safe in your safe. When you come out to this world, when you go to the service station, you need to know already what you're doing when you go to that service station. He doesn't need to play guard dog. You need to be ready. You need to be aware. You need to watch everybody. Calculate in your mind. Calculate calculations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. He makes an excellent point there. When you go to the gas station, when you go to the grocery store, all this milling around and wandering around, let me tell you something. If you go into the damn store with your bonnet on, you're an easy target.
Nigga, please.
Don't tell me that you're not a dummy and an easy target. You wearing house slippers at the damn store. What the hell are you ready for other than to get your head broken open? What are you ready for? You ready to neck jerk and talk some trash and hope that if you're loud enough that you're going to appeal to somebody's chivalry not to disregard your damn rights. Don't tell me that you are taking this seriously and you wearing your damn pajamas. Don't tell me that you're taking this seriously and you wearing your damn bedroom clothes. Nigga, you ain't even woke all the damn way up. You're not even, don't tell me that you're alert and you're literally wearing your bedroom clothes. And let me just say something right now. There are a bunch of young males out here today. You're the ones who need to be most concerned. I said this, I'm going to start pivoting what I say here because it used to be the problem in the civil rights generation, but as I have proven, I have a lot of people who are under the age of 30 that listen to my program. I want y'all to understand something. A lot of you were raised by parents who were on some straight bull crap. A lot of you were raised by a bunch of single ass mammies. I said it. A bunch of single ass hoes. Did he say hoes? I damn sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
And you need to understand, your mammy done spend her life getting her ass handed to her figuratively and literally as a male. You ain't got no cleavage to show. Your mama sits up here and pretends to herself that she can get a Daniel Holtz claw. If she gets pulled over by the police, hopefully she got a Daniel Holtz claw that she can show some thigh to and get out of a bad situation. Nigga, you ain't got that. You have no cleavage to offer. You have no thigh to offer. I mean, unless you get in a real bad situation. I don't know if you want to live through that one. So if you have to go out like Lil Nas X in the shower scene, I don't know if you want to live through that one, but to the males, dude, you ain't got that. You don't have it. So don't sit up here and let somebody fool you because of how you were raised. Your mama's walking her raggedy ass into the store dressed in her damn bedroom clothes and you're pretending that somehow you gonna get the same. No, you tell mom, hey, look here, you on some bull crap here. I got to be ready when I go out here. I have to be ready for any situation. Just because your mama ain't ready doesn't mean that you have the luxury of not being ready either. You got to be ready. A bunch of you were raised by parents who were not ready. They didn't get financially savvy. They weren't on top of nothing. Okay, and what you've learned is you got to do better than that. So especially to the males out here, but this also goes to the younger females. Man, look here, just understand your mama on some bull jive. And if your daddy's sitting there, he's even worse. You don't never walk outside in your damn pajama clothes. You're a big ass overgrown kid. You're a target. Because you're going out assuming that you got some rights or powers that you don't actually have. And if something does jump off, you're helpless. Everybody remembers that Making the Band with the two niggas fighting all the damn time. Couldn't even keep their damn pants up. What the hell you doing? Trying to have a fight and the first damn thing happens, their pants fall around their damn ankles like they putting on a damn porno flick. And it would be funny if you didn't realize, by the way, hey, dude, if we get into a real world situation, nigga, you ain't ready to do nothing except, what's his name? King Hippo from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Every time you get hit, your pants fall around your damn ankles. What the hell? No, to the males listening to me, if you're a male over the age of 4, you ain't supposed to be walking outside in no damn jammies. your hood rat mama and your thought ass sister and whatnot, hey, you gotta move differently. You gotta move different and you gotta be smarter than that. You cannot sit there being on the same damn thing that they're on. That is deadly dangerous for you. You cannot afford the luxury of walking out in public looking like you just fell in from a damn daycare because your mama doesn't know how to raise a man. She doesn't know how to make a member of the warrior class. Her self-defense tactics aren't going to work for you because a woman doesn't really self-defend. You sitting up here wearing your damn jammies. And here's the killing thing. Usually you see them wearing their damn pajamas and wearing a hoodie. What? So not only are you not dressed for combat, you got a damn hoodie on. You can't even see around yourself. It's like a horse with blinders on. All you can see is right in front of you. Your entire peripheral vision is gone. Your ears are covered. And your mama is happy because that keeps you soft, weak, and helpless so that she can't get a real man. She's got a dependent half man around her. Now you've been handicapped and buck broken by your own damn mama. That's how you end up 40 and 50 years old wearing a damn tank top looking like baby boy. Y'all shake that garbage off. Be a man and recognize your mama on some bull crap. You let her know, no, I'm not going out looking any old kind of way. I'm going to have on a real pair of shoes just in case I got to put one of these size 11s up somebody's ass. I'm going to have pants on with a belt just in case I got to break out my Bruce Leroy and kick this nigga in the side of the head like John Jones. I'm going to have on a real shirt that isn't fighting me and bunching up on me just in case I got to put work in. Call me the lawn care service because I'm mowing your ass down. Just in case it got to go down. I ain't worried about no damn swag. You need to be dressed for action. If it's getting ready to jump off, are you prepared? This nigga is sitting here wearing his damn underoos to Family Dollar. What are you ready for? That's not even manhood. You're dressed like an overgrown toddler because your mama done condition you for that. Meanwhile, Daniel Penny is out here looking for a soft target. And I hate to say it like this. I got to remind you, take a look at the way Daniel Penny was dressed and the way Jordan Neely was dressed. He was looking for a soft target. You could see from the picture who the soft target was. It wasn't accidental. That wasn't accidental. There needs to be a complete cultural shift that as men, you dress for business. And part of that business might have to be laying a bastard down. You need to be dressed for business. You need to be dressed that you ready. Not to wait a minute, give me a few minutes and get ready. You're wearing clothes that are fighting against you. Imagine that, people. Crocs aren't shoes that are made for physical activity. Even folks at hospitals, they didn't want nurses wearing Crocs. It's like, that's not really made for physical activity. They really aren't. And got grown men. Yeah, these other folk, I'm taking a look at them. They ready. It's like they're taking a look at the way you're dressed. I mean, hell, he's not even understand when you're wearing your damn pajamas outdoors, what you're telling me is mentally and emotionally, you haven't left the bed yet. You're literally showing us that mentally and emotionally, you haven't left the bed. Your mind is back where you were. I'm looking at the way you're dressed. You're not even present in the moment. You're in a store, you're in Target, you're at a mall, you're on a subway. Physically, you're there, but mentally and emotionally, you're not. I'm looking at the way you're dressed, mentally and emotionally. Oh, you're not actually here. Only one of us is actually in this subway. Only one of us is actually at this store. Only one of us is actually in this mall. Only one of us is actually in this parking lot. The other one is mentally and emotionally not here. I think I see you open. I can take advantage. That's why you see so many videos of folk getting their heads busted, the white supremacists getting their heads busted open, but a few get lucky. And take a look at the folks they get lucky on. Oh, you're not actually here. Oh, your mind is still back at home. Oh, you're not actually standing here. Oh, you ain't even thinking about me. Well, that's good because I'm doing nothing but thinking about you. So to the men, enough of that. Whether your mama from the civil rights generation or Gen X or whatever, hey, you shake that off. Mama on some bull jive, you leave that heifer and her whole ways where they are. But you be ready. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom. All right, I got Michael up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
Trump is talking about enacting some tariffs. I believe these tariffs are going to backfire and end up making prices higher for the American consumer. And the second point I'd like to talk about is this guy who's supposed to be leading the FBI. He doesn't strike me as a leader of men, but I could be wrong. But he looks like somebody who Trump can control.
He doesn't look like somebody Trump can control. He's another one of these Indians who kisses Trump's ass. Y'all notice Trump is surrounded by him. You're talking about Kash Patel. That's who you're talking about. Correct. Kash Patel used to be like an assistant, I think, DNI. He's been basically kissing Trump's ass the whole damn time. Been kissing Trump's ass the entire time. That's what he's been doing. And that's why he's been chosen. He's competent, but yes, if you're not an ass kisser, Trump don't want you. He wants people who serve him because he needs it, because he's there to serve his own interests. That's the difference.
And these tariffs, right? I believe it's going to backfire. I believe Trump and his cronies will make money, but the average American consumer, it's just like if something is $100 coming from China, it's going to be $200 with these tariffs. And that's just, an exemplary figure. We're talking about higher stakes. We're talking about cars. We're talking about, a lot of other things, computers. I just believe the prices will be astronomically high.
Well, first of all, how will we know the difference based on what's happened in the last 4 years? How will we even know the difference? Second of all, that's not really the way tariffs work in that regard. I don't think it's going to get that far along. Trump only bandies that stuff around because it helps him negotiate better deals. So you're going to be looking at that. So I think ultimately he's not going to be able to get a bunch of crazy stuff done. You're going to see one or two moves here or there. But as far as some wholesale overhauling or revolution, as far as how tariffs and stuff work, that's not going to happen. That's just him talking. So you're going to see one or two agreements which is what happened during his first term. You're only going to see one or two get through. The rest of that is just him strong-arming people to soften them up when he does go for the one or two things that he does ask for. And that's all it's going to be.
Black first, Jason.
Black first, brother. Thank you for giving us a call tonight. Remember, Trump is more interested in getting his name out there. He knows that talking big, he talks a whole lot more trash than a bunch of these other folk do. It's just to get folks' attention. Well, we mean business, which is very good for negotiating, but it's only going to be one or two things. It's not going to be a bunch of stuff across the board. He's already gone around with the Chinese before. He just wants to get better deals out of them. Once that happens, that'll be it. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Jim. Okay, Jim. Turn your speaker. There you go.
Hey.
All right, Jim. What's on your
Hi.
mind?
How you doing? I just wanted to give a report back because I actually attended several of the court dates of the trial, and the district attorney's office really did a poor job of putting the case together.
No, they didn't. No, they did. It's the same as always. They did what they were supposed to do. They always fumble the damn ball. Look, if you in New York City, you know damn well niggas are sitting in Rikers Island for years.
Right.
Black men been sitting in Rikers Island for years and ain't seen a damn courthouse. So don't tell me what the hell they can't do. You got fellas in New York getting convicted with no physical evidence whatsoever. None.
Right.
And this guy got caught he was shown on video committing the crime, and then the medical examiner testifies to what it is, and you can't convict him? Baby, that's not accidental. This is them doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. We need to recognize the Democrat, whether the cities, they're so-called Democrat cities or Republican cities, they're all white supremacist cities.
Right.
The Democrats are always trying to convince you, well, you know, if we was doing this, that wouldn't have happened. Then we got to remind you that, by the way, with Darren Wilson, that's a Democrat city. Daniel Pentalio, Democrat city. We can go down the damn list. There's Democrats presiding over these things.
Right. And when we start talking about being in preparation for what's been happening since 1612, you always have to look at the mindset. We're not focused enough on getting our psychologicals together to realize that these people are not our friends. They're never going to be our friends. And why would you want to be friends with your oppressor? You need to focus on learning history so that you recognize the subtle things that are happening present day. These kids are not recognizing what's happening. They have no idea. And it scares me. As a matter of fact, when I speak to a lot of the children that I have influence over, I do the fundamentals and I bring them up to speed to present day, because they're so busy wanting to kumbaya everything and hold hands and be the proverbial barbecue that you have to let them know, hon, you're on the menu. Ain't no barbecue. You're on the menu.
And well, let me find out here. What borough you in?
I'm the Bronx.
Of course, absolutely. I could have told you that right there. There's a couple of clues I see, but I'll leave that to myself for now, since folk can't see you. There's a couple of clues that I see.
And what does that mean?
I can't get the secret sauce out, but a couple of clues let me know it was the BX. But here's the thing. A lot of our history foundationally came out of the Bronx. I will say that right there, first of all. So the attitude that for those of us who came out of that is different, and an understanding is different. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, because after a while, what's happened, when you talking to younger people, please remember, they've been sold on something totally different. Mm-hmm. They've been sold on the idea of Diddyverse. They've been sold on the idea that their purpose for existing is to buy some Rocawear and go to the club and get you a Puerto Rican or Dominican or, whatever German chick. That's your goal in life right there. That's the whole purpose of living in New York. I've always had an issue with that about New York, especially in the last 20, 25 years. Mm-hmm. Because what I noticed was that Black folk don't own anything there, but they really super proud of talking about they're from New York. And I realized, well, that's what they've been sold on. They've been sold on being from New York, not owning anything in it, just being a resident. Well, I'm like, well, you're no different from me. You're a tourist. The only difference is I have a hotel key that reminds me that I don't own anything, and you don't. That's the difference. I'm bringing this up because New York City is very, very tricky in a lot of ways. In our film Gentrified, we touched on that. New York is not a bedroom community. It's not like you have a bunch of sprawling suburbs and developments like that. That's not what New York is. And what I'm saying is that, so by definition, most of you don't own any of the real estate. Well, what do they own then? Well, they own their sexual abilities. They own where they hang out at. So in the words of Dr. Claude Anderson, we've progressed nowhere except socially. So that thing that you're referring to, the young people have become experts on socializing. They become experts at socializing, pursuing interracial sexual access, that's become their reason for being in New York City. When they say diversity, it's like, oh, diversity of sex to go chase around. And then something super serious happens and they don't have anything. That's when everybody starts listening to you.
Right.
And you start noticing they gather around you when there's a crisis. It's like, whoa, we need to have something different going on when there's not a crisis.
So we've been doing some local organizing around that, self-defense courses with folks who have a history of self-defense, not just, regular degular folks who make it up as they go along. And that's pretty much what you're going to have to do in small pockets, because you have to teach the ones who are willing to be taught and then kind of expand slowly, because you can't even leave that open up to too many people because they'll get infiltrated. As we know, most Black grassroots organizing gets infiltrated. But I just wanted to come up on here and speak on that. And that's all I got to say about that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight, sister. We appreciate that. Yeah, like I say, I mean, certainly starting with folk there. I mean, the block used to be the block and used to see itself as family and we all we got. That's an element that's missing. New York City becoming, dog eat dog and whatnot. That breaks up that familial connection and that familial culture. And what you end up with is the only people who stick together are the damn billionaires. What? That's what you end up with. The only folks who actually end up sticking together are the billionaires. They become the culture that sticks together. So the folks who really need to be together as a group are not doing it. And the folks who have to victimize folks, those are the only ones who actually see themselves as family and sticking together. And hey, we got to watch out for each other. In the chat room, Bianca, if there are houses in the Bronx, actually there's houses in the Bronx, there's houses in Queens. I'm not saying that there are no houses. If you have a house in New York City's boroughs proper, if you actually do are in a place where there actually is a house, you're very fortunate. That's very great. That's very wonderful. But the majority of people in New York don't. So if you're one of the ones who do, first of all, you're in the Bronx, but okay. But if you do, congratulations. But that's not the majority. The majority of folk don't have that. The majority don't have that. We can talk about the brownstones. Here's the problem with the brownstones. The problem with the brownstones is they aren't making any more. There's the issue. The issue with the brownstones is if you have one, it's like owning a museum. It's like owning a historical artifact because they're not making any more. They're going to build new apartments, build new condos, build new houses. There will be no more brownstones. There will be no more. Never mind the fact that in a fire, it's a death trap. Never mind that. But there are not going to be any more brownstones. So as a historical anecdote, brownstones are nice, but it's really the end of an era. They're not going to be any more. So when those are finally gone, then what? It's not like they're going to replace them with that. I was all over Brooklyn and whatnot. Case in point, brief aside here, because just to go ahead and I'm not making this up as I go along. My folks who live in New York City, I've talked about this before. I've got footage of it on several blocks in Brooklyn where there are brownstones. I saw one where in the middle of the block they tore down one and they built like a 3-4 story I guess you call it a condo. So right there in the middle of the block, something must have happened to one of the brownstones. I don't know if it caught fire or it was just fatally damaged. And a lot of them are very, very old. They're like a century old. In some cases, maybe a little bit longer. So a lot of them physically, the folks cannot afford to upkeep them anymore. In New York City, having to remodel or, renovate a brownstone could cost you $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. If you have a boiler, God help you, and you got to go through all the red tape and all the permits and stuff to get anything, forget plumbing. In New York City, getting permits for all that kind of stuff, if you really need to do some major work on it. So I've seen in New York City where you got brownstones and stuff, and I'll see where they'll tear one down, it's the middle of the block, and then they just build a new condo. It doesn't look nothing like the brownstones. It's kind of this oddball thing right there. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's going to be. So like I say, it's if you got a house in New York, if you still have one, hold on to it as long as you can. They've made it virtually impossible to do a whole lot more with it, but hold on to it as long as you can. But there's not, they want to try to move as many as they can. They want to try to move as many out as they can. No doubt about it. No question about it. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I see it all over the place. It'll be more. It'll be more. You get hit from all sides. In New York City, though, she does make a good point about that. I want young folk to understand that so much of what we got, they watch rappers and entertainers, and the only thing they want to tell you how to do is how to chase interracial sexual access. That's why I didn't like that interview that the G Unit did on the Breakfast Club, and everybody's talking about their Latina girlfriends and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, this is not what you want to promote. This is not what you want to promote. That doesn't help us. That's not the message you want to pass on, because you got them thinking that their goal is to make some money so they can sit up here and attract somebody outside of their community. And we all know how that ends up going. Ain't that right, Diddy? We got enough Travis Hunters out here. We got enough folk out here willfully blind in situations. And I don't want folks promoting that and perpetuating that idea, especially in a place like New York, where, like I say, it's one thing if you live in another city where you don't have access to all these folk being brought in from all these different areas. Because like I say, if you're black in Texas, if you're black in Arkansas, you ain't never met a Venezuelan before. If you're a black person in Little Rock, Arkansas, you've never met a Venezuelan. You heard of one, you ain't met one. If you ain't in the dope game, you probably haven't met a Colombian either. So somebody legitimately from South America, not really. From Mexico, yes. From South America, not so much. Same thing in Mississippi, Kentucky, Tennessee. So for most folks, you ain't really having contact with that. In New York City, from the Caribbean, from Africa, from South America, they've got constant, ready, convenient contact with all those different divergent ethnicities. So when folks start selling that as your purpose in life and your, that's your reason for being, that is very easy to get you distracted when it's actually a realistic possibility. But in most other places, you don't really have that. You don't really have that. So folks need to recognize that when you get in these cities and stuff like that, you sitting up here chasing interracial sexual access. Meanwhile, Daniel Penny is sneaking up on you in the damn subway. You're sitting up here talking about your swag and talking about if you can bag a Dominican chick, and meanwhile Daniel Penny is walking up behind you in the damn subway. And the police are gonna have his back. Even if it shows him on video assaulting you, he's going to pull, I'm white and I say so. He's going to say you were a threat, and the police are going to have his back. That's what I'm telling you. So if you are not walking around fully cognizant of the environment that you are in, you sitting up here telling yourself that you concerned about getting home so you can get on Instagram and slide in somebody's DMs. Man, you need to be talking to your people, have your head on straight. You need to be having your feet on the ground. Your purpose is not sitting up here trying to figure out how much exotic sex you can get your hands on. You worrying about exotic sex, and meanwhile, these other folk are trying to figure out how to kill you. You're sitting up here trying to imitate your favorite rapper. You trying to look like Travis Scott and Tory Lanez. You trying to imitate your damn favorite rapper. And meanwhile, the white fellas over there, yeah, suspected white supremacists crawling all over the city trying to figure out how to kill you. How much interracial sex you gonna get then? You're sitting up here walking on the damn subway in your pajamas. And Daniel Penny's bird brain looking real weird noodle neck ass is like, well, I think I can get the drop on you. And it might go bad for him, but here's the thing. If you try to delete Daniel Penny, all of a sudden a bunch of white folk are going to jump up and try to stop you. Now, if he sneaks up on you and gets the drop on you, just like you saw on that subway, ain't nobody really trying to stop him. Every time you see a black person put down one of these white supremacists, a bunch of other folk jump up. Wait, now, hold on. You need to stop that now. Wait a minute. They all start doing that. But when these suspected white supremacists sit up here and ambush a black person, where's that energy? Nobody's sitting up here telling them to stop. The so-called folks in charge, other people in the store, other people in the subway, the witnesses, ain't nobody trying to stop them. Yeah, when it's a black person and the white supremacists getting put down, a bunch of white women start screeching and squealing. It sounds like that movie Scream. It sounds like a slasher flick. So just understand, if you got to put in work, everybody's going to jump up and try to figure out how to stop you. That's the way it rolls in this society. Is if you do something just like Lieutenant Michael Byrd, all of a sudden everybody's going to jump up trying to say we need to stop you. But if somebody's doing something to you, they're all going to act like that's okay. But they're not going to jump on Daniel Penny and tell him he needs to stop. Now, that's where you really are. If you accept that that's where you really are, you move differently. I got to tell y'all right now, y'all know me. I move around New York. I'm just telling y'all right now, some of y'all are vigilant, but a lot of folks, I'm like, okay, when I start smelling weed, when I start seeing pajama clothes, when you're walking around with your hoodie half over your head because niggas wearing sunshades at night with a hoodie on, I'm like, bro, what you ready for? What are you ready for other than bed? And got a Daniel Penny practically on every damn corner in New York looking for an easy target. In New York City, not in Florida, not in Mississippi, not in Minnesota, in New York. So that's why I'm having that conversation here. We really need to make sure we speak to as many young people as possible and make sure they understand, hey, dude, your parents be on some bull jive. A lot of your friends are on that too. You have folk out here who are trying to kill you. I need to explain something right quick. It's long overdue. I may do enough. Of all the documentaries I've done, probably the most understated was Gentrified. And I need to say this tonight. People, we have been deceived about white flight. We have been utterly deceived about it. I will keep using that term as a historical anecdote, but as a literal practical thing. We have been completely hoodwinked and deceived about white flight. We have deceived ourselves. We've been deceived into believing that these people abandoned where they lived and that they fled and that we've come in and taken over and quote unquote, now it's ours. I'm here to report to all of you that this is a lie. It's not true. They never went away. They didn't flee. They had a strategic fallback. In New York City, they had a strategic fallback. They fell back from the Bronx, which so much of New York and the rap culture and hip hop culture has come out of the Bronx. They fell back from the Bronx. Remember back in the 80s and the early 90s, they had that show with Ed Asner, the Bronx Zoo. That's not what they did. They made a strategic fallback to the Lower East Side and the financial district in Manhattan. And then starting under Rudy Giuliani, they started taking back block after block, huge swaths of it. And then they decided that the plan needed to be to permanently hold it. So they retreated, and we said they retreated to the suburbs. They were regrouping. If they own land, they never sold it. They rented it to you, but they never sold it. If they didn't own the land, they've been waiting for all of our heirs to die. If they did sell the land, they've been waiting for your children or your grandchildren to die so that they can come back and buy it. So on the one hand, where they retreated to, they've run up the property values as far as they can. They built Millionaires Row and Billionaires Row. They have now encircled Central Park with billion-dollar condo developments. And skyscrapers, man, that's going to be there for the next couple of 100 years. When they build things like the Piano Building, Hudson Yards, Park Avenue, man, that's going to be there for the next couple of centuries. America is only 2.5 centuries old. And they're building skyscrapers intended to be there as practically as long as America's been a nation. In other words, they tend to completely eliminate the possibility that you will ever be able to come to this area. Then you have things like, I warned about the Tower of Brooklyn, which looks like the Tower of Sauron, but I warned about Brooklyn Tower. That's it. That's a wrap. That's going to be there for the next 200-300 years. A black person will never be able to own that. That's its entire point of existing. Then when you take a look at Chelsea and you take a look at Tribeca and what they've done there with the skinny scrapers. Remember, they started the skinny scrapers in Tribeca. Now they moved around Central Park with them. Those things will be there for centuries. You're looking at them today. They're going to be here long after you and I are gone. But the real thing is, who will own it? I was the guy who went circling Hudson Yards when nobody else was even talking about it. Because I knew what that was when I saw it, and I'm like, here we go. Take a look at it today. Never gonna be able to own none of that. The most you can do is be one of their adjusted rents. You can get a rent controlled apartment there, but that's it. That's all. And everywhere you look, they're building these condos, these mini condos, these mini multiplexes everywhere you go. Up and down Flatbush, up and down Ocean, off the BQE. You want me to start reading your blocks? The Bronx will be the last to go, but it will go. I was sitting up here talking about Dumbo before Jay-Z said anything about Dumbo. You do realize they're almost done gentrifying the hell out of Dumbo, right? They're almost done with the complete build out of Dumbo, right? For those of you who weren't aware, didn't keep up with it, Dumbo is pretty much a wrap. So the places where even you used to have some real estate, y'all, I want you to understand that Los Angeles Inland Empire. For folks who live in Los Angeles, they know what the Inland Empire is. For those of you who don't live in Los Angeles, don't know anything about Los Angeles, Inland Empire is evasive to define other than to say it's a part of the city, okay? Just think of it in that way. It's a part of the city. It actually kind of defies description. But folks who live in Los Angeles, Inland Empire has always been something that folks thought they could retreat to. How did that work out? How's that working out? Everybody talked about the hills and whatnot, but what I'm saying is, it's the thing to do now to go ahead and build out everything else. Okay, Riverside, San Bernardino, they brought in a bunch of illegals, including the gangs. So they brought in a bunch of illegals and gangs out there. But then again, it's that on the one hand, and the property has been cheaper out there. You're an hour outside of the city. So they building the hell up out of that to the extent they can. They started with a bunch of hotels. Seattle, don't get me started on Seattle. Seattle, Washington, Boeing. So what they did was they retreated. It looked like they retreated like out to Kent. That was the real thing right there. For folks who've never been, if you've never been to Seattle, like that thing that they do on Interstate 20 where they got the traffic lights that stutter traffic getting on the freeway, they got that in Seattle. So going down Federal is a trip for you. You can go ahead and do that. And they retreated. They went out to places like Kent. They retreated out there. They built up hotels. They built up suburbs. They retreated to Kent, and then they started flooding back in. So my folks know downtown Seattle, if you've seen some of my films, I'm talking about, man, downtown Seattle, as far as skyscrapers, downtown Seattle looks like downtown Los Angeles. Downtown Seattle looks like downtown Los Angeles. They got the sports complex with the two big arenas side by side. So they retreated to the suburbs, at least it looked that way. And downtown Seattle, it looks like a cross between downtown Los Angeles and San Francisco. They didn't flee, not the way we thought. In Chicago, don't start me there. The South Side and the West Side is trying to hold strong. I'm warning Chicago right now. Lincoln Yards is intended to do what Hudson Yards did. They barely changed the damn name. Damn! They saw what Hudson Yards did in New York. Now they're building Lincoln Yards. I mean, they barely changed the damn name. They almost didn't even change the name, so you can see what's about to happen in Chicago. You thought they were done after Magnificent Mile? You thought the waterfront was it? You thought the big metal bean? You thought they were done there and Lollapalooza and all that? Oh, no, no, no. That big ass hole in the ground they never built the skyscraper before, you thought they gave up? No, they didn't. White Sox Stadium, I told y'all about that. That was the craziest thing in the world for me to see. They got this little shopping village over there with these apartments right behind it, right behind White Sox Stadium. And I knew they're just sitting on the land because they want to build it up enough to make it outrageously expensive because they want to make sure that they determine what kind of people can live there. They want to make sure that we can't come back. So they're not going to build anything until it's outrageously expensive, because they want to make sure that when they move back in, which is what they're doing, they stay there. Remember, I was the guy who told everybody about the building of the Whole Foods right across the street from Kennedy King College. And yes, I know that they closed it up, but what I'm telling you is, do you realize that was the first shot across your bow? You think they're done? You think they're going to stop? You think you're safe now? You think that's the last time they're going to do that? You think that's one and done? You really believe that? Bronzeville, you really believe you're safe? You really believe you're safe now? Folks, they fell back to regroup. They never forgot. Understand something. You call it the South Side of Chicago. Did you ever ask yourself what they think the South Side of Chicago is? Did you ever ask yourself that? Have you asked some of the old white folk in Chicago what they think the South Side is? Because if you ask them, if they're honest, they will tell you, yeah, we used to be there. That used to be ours. I need you to understand that. When you take a look at the South Side and you take a look at the West Side, for the white population, they're like, that's ours. Yeah. Y'all's numbers blew up and ran us out of there, but that belongs to us. And it might take us 50 or 100 years to creep our way back in, but that's ours. And before it's over, it's going to be ours again. That does not belong to you Negroes. That belongs to us. Have you all considered that? That as much ink and as much talk as they give to the South Side of Chicago on the news nationally, to the white folk who are there on the city council, your aldermen have made it very clear. If they can get, especially the Latino ones, if they can get your ass about that, they're going to. They made it clear what their goal is. They do not see that as yours. They see that as theirs. And that they are temporarily inconvenienced by your presence. But this is what I mean by war. Folks, think about this for a few moments. You were never supposed to be here. After slavery, we were supposed to be physically exterminated. We never were. Now they just see a bunch of us sitting in places that, as far as they're concerned, we're not supposed to be. So don't you understand that as far as they are concerned, anything that it takes to displace you is fair game? Lying about the rent, lying about housing prices, redlining, refusing to make you loans, bringing in Latin gangs, bringing in Daniel Penny, terrorism, killing you in the streets, anything goes. There was an episode, I'm going to say something here. There was an episode of Thundercats with Mum Ra. I talked about that years ago. That talked about that. It was a brilliant piece of writing. Why in the world is this old mummy trying to get rid of all the Thundercats? And they're like, hey, why are you attacking us? We never did anything to you. We just landed here on Earth. We crash landed here on Earth. And he was like, that's an interesting thing you would ask here. I've been here for thousands of years. You just showed up. I'm not the trespasser here. You are. People, as far as these folk are concerned in these cities here, they're not gentrifying you. You're the trespasser. You're not supposed to be there. That belongs to them. Before you came along and ran them off. Why, this is ours. We're supposed to have this. Who cares if you bought it? Fair and square. You didn't have to terrorize anybody or commit genocide. Who cares if you didn't? Do you all understand that that's their attitude? That you are the trespasser. That this might be your grandmama or your great-grandmama might have lived in this house. Your grandmama or your grandfather, your great-grandfather might have built the house you're on, but that land belonged to my great-great-granddaddy. Or even more recently, because since white flight, that house that you're in, your dad might have bought that house, but these white folks' grandfather, well, he was the one who built it. As far as they're concerned, yeah, your name is on the deed, your name is on the title, but this belongs to us. Black folk don't understand that in Chicago, in New Orleans, in Biloxi, in Jacksonville, in D.C., far as they're concerned, you're the newcomers. You're the trespassers. You're not supposed to be here. And so whatever it takes to remove you, anything's fair game because it's war and you're not supposed to even be here. So it's all right that I violate your rights and break the law and any underhanded thing and any skullduggerous, duplicitous, backhanded, disreputable thing because you're not even supposed to be here. So anything I do to you is legit because it's war. Now these are your DAs and your assistant DAs and your aldermen and your councilmen and your county commissioners. That's who you got now. We thought that we had run them off and we didn't. They simply regrouped, they fell back, and they've been laying in wait all this time. I need you all to understand that they've just been sitting back biding their time, but they've never forgotten what they held, they never forgotten what they owned, and they have every intention of taking every inch of it back from us. All of it. All the brownstones. All the houses. All the land. All of it. And Daniel Penny represents the willingness to resort to terrorism. So for all of you who talk about gentrification and whatnot, I wanted you to understand what it really is. You're talking about Leimert Park, Tragnew Park, when you're coming back up Crenshaw, they're building the subway out there. I don't know if they're done with it by now. But yeah, you take a look at what they're doing. That this was ours. And we are going to implement and utilize every dirty, underhanded tactic we can to take this from you. As black folk, you might want to believe that you ran them off and the coast is clear. They never forgot. Now that you understand that that is their perspective on the house you're living in, on the land you're living on, in the neighborhood that you're in. Buckhead in Atlanta, they ain't happy about that. How dare you black folk overcome white supremacy and then start turning Buckhead into a name that's associated with well-to-do black folk? Oh, hell no. Anything we got to do to get y'all out of here is legit. Anything. And they are deadly serious about it. Harlem, you already got white folk bragging about gentrifying Harlem. That's an old story there. That's an old one. I talked about that. Hell, I talked about that at my film 7 a.m. Harlem has been falling. The strategy in Harlem was to wait for the grandchildren. What happened was they made New York City so damn expensive that the parents had to live in the houses and the brownstones until they died because there was nothing else they could do. The children couldn't afford to live in New York, so they got up and left. Okay, so they went down to Pennsylvania and the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida. They had to go build some housing, get a place for themselves. Okay, so what did that mean? They're not going back to New York. So when mom and dad die up there in New York, the kids aren't coming back to live there. So even if they inherit the property, they're not coming back to live. And you can't really be an absentee landlord in New York. There's too much going on. First snowstorm comes through, you're going to realize how bad an idea it is. So you end up at best having a property that you're going to have to sell and can't really keep because you're not moving back to New York. So that's what happened with the brownstone situation. So many people, New York is so outrageously overpriced, the family couldn't afford to all stay there. So the kids wound up leaving the city and going somewhere else. And now it's just a brownstone that they hope their mom and dad can keep up because the kids can't, they're not moving back to New York. So whatever's going to happen to the brownstone is going to happen to it. And what usually ends up happening is the kids wind up fighting with each other and wind up selling it. The heirs end up fighting over it, and some white folk or some developers come through there, and next thing you know, we're going to go ahead and pass that to you. That's what happened up and down Ocean. The Jewish landlords out there, shout out, stood up here and bought up everything there. You see that happening all over Brooklyn. So they wait till you die. That's what they're waiting. This is a generational effort. This is a generational campaign. If you die, we'll buy it from your kids. If your kids don't sell, we'll wait for the grandkids. We're going to offer them $3 or $4 million. Y'all watch the damn first 48. Y'all know how this goes. Y'all watch the first 48. You know how this goes. The man gonna make an offer. If it's 5 kids, hell, if it's 3 kids, 2 of y'all gonna be legit. One of y'all ain't never got your damn money right. One of y'all is the hoe in the family, the thought in the family, always has some bum nigga laying on top of you. All you heard was they offering $3 million. Ooh, hell, I'm ready to sell. It ends up being that. Y'all know how it goes down. Somebody got a damn rock habit. This nigga got a rock habit. He ain't never gonna be straight. He heard $3 million. He ready to tell him where the slaves hiding. They know that's the way it's gonna go down. So you know how that goes down. If they come booming into town, if there's 3 kids, they gonna offer $1 million a piece, man. Each of y'all can get $1 million a head. 2 of y'all might be like, yeah, we're gonna keep this in the family. You know, it's always gonna be that one little bug-eyed nigga gonna be ready to sell out. And that's happening all over Harlem, all over Brooklyn, all over Queens, all over the Bronx. That's standard operating procedure. They don't need to get all of y'all to break. They just need one of them to break. They just need one of you. And then from there, they start working that wedge. It starts becoming that. That's what's happening in Harlem. That's what's been happening. And it's a citywide effort. And they perfected it in places like Harlem, but they're taking it nationwide. Those folk have never forgotten about us. They've never forgotten where they are. They've never forgotten where we are. And they've never forgotten, as far as they are concerned, there's unfinished business. They are at war with us. Far as they're concerned, your black ass has no right to be on the subway. They didn't build that subway for you. They built that subway for them. Therefore, anything that they do to you, any act of terrorism against you is justified because this is a damn race war, damn it. Which is what Megyn Kelly and Tim Pool don't have the guts to come out and say. But this is a race war, and anything that they do is justified because, damn it, we're at war. You're not supposed to be on the subway. You're not supposed to be in Times Square. You're not supposed to be in Harlem. You're not supposed to be in the Bronx. You're not supposed to be on Flatbush. You're not supposed to be anywhere. You're not supposed to be in Washington Heights. You're not supposed to even be here. So anything we do to you is legit. Ain't no rules. On account of the fact that you're the trespasser. So we get to deal with trespassers however we want to. That's the mindset you're up against. That's why folk like Candace Owens, the rest of them sound crazy as hell. Yeah, this is what you're really up against. Jason, how can this contradiction live in their heads? It's not it is a contradiction, but it can peacefully coexist with everything else if the foundation of the belief system is that they are at war. War can accommodate contradictions. Hell, war in and of itself is a contradiction. Civilized people having to kill a bunch of folk, that by its definition is a contradiction. It abides itself and coexists with itself every day. So when you understand that at the foundation of it, they see themselves and a race war against you, well, hell, you can get any contradiction to coexist with war. Any contradictory belief system, anything that's in conflict, anything can coexist with war. War will accommodate any conflicting philosophy. A state of war will justify it. Their job is to try to convince you, oh, we're not really at war with you. And then you take a look on your screen and you see that picture and everything becomes crystal clear. And that's why I'm glad that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy and the rest of the white supremacists did that, because it reminds people of exactly who you really are. I don't have to fight for it. I ain't got to argue for it. All I got to do is keep a picture. And we will not be forgetting. Don't be surprised if, for the Republicans and Donald Trump, history repeats itself. Don't be surprised. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. I want to thank everyone who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, my man Mr. Fontes, Arthur, Muffy, Stephanie, Jughead over there in the UK, Arthur, Keandra, and everybody else here. Thank you very much for your support. Melvinia, and if I want to make sure that you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, go by, check it out, our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.